Hey guys, Caroline here. So today I want to talk about heartbreak because as an astrologer and tarot reader, I can say that 80 to 90% of most of my clients come to me for issues of heartbreak, breakups, divorce and separation, or perhaps meeting someone new and wanting to know if they are trustworthy and if it's going to work out. So, the majority of the requests that I get are around love and relationships. And this should come as no surprise given that human beings are mammals after all, and mammals thrive on social connection and physical contact. It is what separates us from other species, the need for closeness and social bonding, although we often forget this as humans. So, I want to talk about heartbreak and recovering from breakups and splits because I don't think it's something that our society, and when I say society, I mean American society because I live in the US, although I'm sure this is the case for many other countries as well. But our society in particular does not like to talk about it very much. We don't like to talk about grief or death of loved ones very much either. We tend to skip over really painful, dark topics. And so I think it's important to talk about because it's something that affects all of us. Heartbreak, of course, in particular. And I feel like we need a better understanding of how to process these emotions. So I'm going to talk about heartbreak today, and I'm going to use some tarot cards to help tell the story because what I love about tarot cards is not that they're to predict the future or anything like that. For me, tarot cards, the story of the tarot cards, is a metaphor for the hero's journey, which is a metaphor for every single human life. It is the journey of self-discovery. It is the journey of healing through pain and trauma, through overcoming challenges. It is the victory of resilience and triumph over suffering. That is what the tarot cards are all about. It is talking about all of these small and big moments in our lives that help to shape our story. So I'm going to use some tarot cards as I talk about heartbreak and how you can heal and recover from heartbreak if that's something that you experienced recently or not recently and it's still affecting you. So, in the beginning, we have new love, right? The Lover's card. You meet someone new, you're super excited, they're fascinating, you're excited by the idea of them, of what you can learn from them, of what they can teach you, of what your time together might look like. And after you fall in love, everything, it just feels like the world revolves around your relationship. Like time stops and the only thing that matters are the two of you, right? It's just this cup overflowing with emotion and joy, right? This is the falling in love phase. There's childlike innocence, right? There's nostalgia to a time when you were more fully yourself, because when you're newly in love with someone, right, they see the best of you. You show them the best of you, they are showing you the best of themselves. You almost fall in love with the idea of how someone perceives you through their eyes. So oftentimes falling in love with someone is a way to see yourself more clearly, right? Because they are falling in love with the childlike, innocent, creative, fun, liberated side of you, right? They haven't yet gotten to know all of your flaws, right? So it's this innocence, this phase of innocence where anything is possible. You may talk about a future together. You may have dreams together of what your future could look like with this person. There can be so much relief because now all of a sudden you're not alone. You don't have to figure everything out by yourself. You don't have to do everything by yourself. Now you have this partner and you're a team and you are facing the world together, right? It's that us against the world kind of mentality. So this is the bliss state. This is the bliss state in any new love or love relationship. And I'm not going to go super in depth into all the phases of a relationship. This is not going to be a super long video. But then something happens. This could be weeks down the line, months down the line, years down the line. Something happens and it's irreparable, right? Whether it's a fight, whether you discover that someone's been lying to you, someone was unfaithful, perhaps that person was you. And again, there's no judgment here. We're all human. We all make these kinds of mistakes. And I can certainly tell you from the readings that I've done with clients, these kinds of things are very, very common. So no judgment here. It's just about understanding what happens in relationships. There may be some kind of deception. Perhaps you have a major argument or a series of arguments and you realize that you no longer have shared values, or perhaps you discover you never had shared values, or you want different things, or who you thought this person was isn't who they are. Perhaps you discover the ugly side of them, and we all have an ugly side. No one is perfect. I don't care what Hollywood tells you, because Hollywood and movies love to paint love as this beautiful thing, right? Most movies only show the falling in love phase. They don't show when life gets hard and relationships get hard and complicated. So for many people, you discover that this person has flaws and you don't like that. Or they discover that you have flaws and they don't like that. This could have to do with fear of intimacy. Oftentimes people will run or bolt when there's conflict, or when things get hard, or when things become challenging, right? But that's not always the case. Sometimes both partners are invested and they're willing to do the work, but they just discover that, we want different things. We have different values. Our careers and life paths are going in different directions. So things fall apart. Things fall apart, okay? And then once it's clear that things can't be repaired, right, then you have the death phase. This is when you realize that it can't be fixed, that things are officially over. There's nothing that can be done about it. One or both of you have tried everything you can to fix the relationship, and it's just not fixable. Okay, so what happens during this phase, right? Then you have heartbreak. You have grief. And this grief is very, very real. And this isn't to in any way take away from or minimize grief when someone we love dies, because that is a very painful, excruciating grief as well. But for me, heartbreak is kind of like a mini death, because you do lose someone you love. That capacity to love someone and be in contact with them is ripped from you. Just like when someone dies, only in this case, it's by choice. And that in many cases can be even more painful, because someone chose to leave you, or to cut that cord, or to lie to you, or to cheat on you, or perhaps you were the one who did that. Either way, it can be painful, right? And you have grief, and this grief is very real. This heartbreak is very real. Then you start to wonder, why didn't I see this coming? What did I do wrong? Could I have said something differently? Could I have noticed something about this person earlier on? Could I have prevented this, right? You start to analyze the relationship. You start to go over it again and again in your head. You play things over. You play scenes differently, seeing if you could have maybe somehow achieved a different outcome, right? This is like shaking your worldview to the core, shaking your life to the core. These breakups may even lead to a complete reassessment of your life, of the way you approach relationships, of your beliefs about relationships, right? You may become bitter, you may become skeptical. Oftentimes heartbreak, because it's so painful, I mean, it just like stabs you in the heart, right? The grief is so painful, it can make you question everything, right? This is what the tower is all about. This is about crumbling of our beliefs, crumbling of our faith, crumbling of our view of the world, of relationships. So it's very, very, very painful. And especially when the finality of it really starts to sink in, that it's final, right? That it can't be fixed. It's very, very painful. So I really try to tell people, especially when I'm doing readings and it's clear that nothing can be done to fix the situation, that an ex isn't going to come back, I try really hard to let my client know that they need to take some time out to grieve, because it is something that, again, in our society, it's not something that we really prioritize or talk about. But grief in love and in heartbreaks and divorce and separation is very, very painful, and it is grief. So taking the time out to really feel whatever it is that you're feeling, to feel the pain, to feel the anger, to feel, to process everything that happened, because it is important to do that. It's not a great idea to dwell and to wallow for too long, because you have to move forward. You can't stay stuck. You can't stay stagnant. But there is a period of time where it is very healthy to reassess everything that happened. Were there red flags that you didn't notice? Were there things that you contributed in the relationship that led to its downfall? How can you change your approach to relationships going forward? How can you learn from this? How can you become stronger, more resilient? How can you forgive? After you move through all the other pain and emotions and denial and anger and bitterness, then you have to work towards compassion and forgiveness. Compassion and forgiveness towards yourself for what happened, for the other person. Forgiveness is very, very important, because if we don't forgive, right, then we continue to walk around with our pain. We continue to walk around with our thoughts about relationships, our thoughts, our doubts, our skepticism, our distrust of other people. And that, my friends, is the shadow. That is like the reverse image of this, which is beautiful and hopeful, optimistic. The shadow side of that is this, right? This is the psyche. The devil in many ways represents the psyche. It is the subconscious. It is the unconscious mind. It is what we walk around with as a result of our past experiences that we are either aware of or unaware of, oftentimes unaware of. So if we don't heal, if we don't process what happened, if we don't forgive others and ourselves and let go of our bitterness, then whether you realize it or not, you are walking around with this shadow image of your past relationship, and you'll bring it into your next relationship. So let's say you meet someone new and you're going through this in-love phase again, and you think everything is all wonderful and beautiful, but if you haven't done your healing and your shadow work, and if you haven't forgiven, then guess what? Lurking behind this love, being in love feeling, and this new relationship, you've actually brought your old relationship with you. Yes, you have. We all have. You even brought with you your childhood, because this is also very much a card of childhood and past memories. We all bring with us our childhood into every relationship, especially that which we haven't healed. Whatever triggers we have, if we were rejected by a parent, criticized, abused, physically, emotionally, or otherwise, neglected, did I say that already? You bring this with you into your relationships if you don't heal them. And you bring with you your past relationships into your next relationship. So you can see how it gets very crowded. This is pretty crowded, you guys. So it's not to make light of this, but we have to do our healing work. We have to recognize that heartbreak is painful and it is grief. And we have to allow time to process things. It's very important, okay? So I always recommend to my clients, if you've been through a recent heartbreak or divorce or separation, to allow time to grieve, okay? If you need to get some extra sleep, get some extra sleep. If you need to take long hot baths, do it. If you need to cry your eyes out, do it. If you need to seek out your close friends and loved ones to be there for you, to be able to talk about things, or to just give you hugs and give you confidence and tell you all the things they love about you. Maybe you've lost your confidence, because oftentimes heartbreak can lead to that. It can lead to a loss of confidence. We might lose faith in ourselves. We might feel no longer sexy or attractive or competent. That's one side of it is, if we couldn't make a relationship work, then we feel incompetent. We might lose faith in our ability to make a future relationship work. So the grief process is very important and very necessary. And so I wanted to take the time to talk about that, because I don't think it's something that we talk about very often. Doing some journaling, going to therapy or counseling if you need to, you know, doing yoga, doing exercise, doing things that are healthy for you that will help nurture your body and your soul and your emotions as you are processing everything that happened and as you are working through letting go. Because that is the final step, right? Is letting go. Letting go and so that you can move on. And that, again, involves processing what you could have done differently, what you did do right. It's forgiving yourself and forgiving the other person. And again, showing compassion and letting go of the anger and resentment so that the next time you enter into a relationship, you know, there still might be a little bit of lingering heartbreak in childhood, because again, there always is, but it's maybe a little bit further away as opposed to like boom, right in your face. So it's important to do that work because you want to be able to move on. You want to be able to have a fresh start. You want to be hopeful in love, right? You don't want to always be the skeptic. You don't want to be afraid that everything is going to go wrong again, or that someone's going to lie to you again, or that someone will cheat on you again, or that someone will manipulate you, or whatever it is that happened in your past relationships. You don't want to go into every new relationship believing that this person's just going to do the same. You want to be able to have hope in new beginnings, okay? If you are a man, you want to be able to feel confident again, right? You want to feel like this, you know, sexy, attractive, confident male who is desirable. And if you are a woman, you also want to feel confident. You want to be able to gain your life back. You want to be independent again. You want to be unafraid of being alone. Sometimes being alone is okay. It doesn't mean you're not attractive, right? It means stepping into your power as a woman and feeling desirable, feeling attractive, feeling like a queen, right? Everyone wants to feel like a queen or like a king. We all want to feel this way. And that is why it's important to process your heartbreak, because everyone deserves to feel like this. Okay? And so taking the time to think about those things and to journal and to meditate and to seek therapy or counseling and to seek love and affection from those you care about, those that you can trust, your close loved ones, is important. This way you'll know going into your next relationship, you know, what habits and patterns not to repeat. You'll learn to pay more attention to those red flags up front. You'll learn to recognize your self-worth and your value and what you bring to the table. You'll learn to appreciate and respect the other person and their self-worth and what they bring to the table, right? All healthy relationships are about mutual love and respect, right? Respect for each individual. It's not about codependence. It's recognizing that we are each powerful and unique individuals, you know, whether it's two men, two women, or a man and woman here. I don't have the tarot card analogy prepared for that, but being two independent individuals coming into a relationship and sharing with mutual respect and admiration. Okay, so everyone can have that. Everyone is absolutely worthy and capable of a powerful, mutually beneficial and respectful, loving relationship. So I want you all to know that you can have that, and that if you have experienced heartbreak recently, try not to take things personally. It is important to take responsibility for our part in the relationship and to forgive the other person for their part, but to also at the end of the day recognize that it's not personal. A lot of times we, you know, enter into relationships because we want to have a need fulfilled that we didn't get in childhood, and we're trying to live out that pattern in a new relationship, okay? So oftentimes, again, like I said before, we are bringing with us our wounds. And so try to recognize that when things don't work, not to take it personally. If you know you did the best you could, all you can do is move on, okay? But allow the time for healing. Give yourself that time. Okay, very important. So I hope you guys found this reading helpful. I hope you guys understand a little bit more kind of what tarot can do for you. Understanding, you know, if you are going through grief, meditating on this card, journaling with this card. What is this pain teaching me? How can I learn from this? How can I become stronger? You know, meditating on the Devil card. What are my fears in relationships? What holds me back? What past bitterness am I holding on to from a previous relationship? How can I liberate myself, right? See how these people are chained. How can I liberate myself? One thing I love about this card, right, is here we have this devil. You think he's imprisoned these people, but if you look at the chains over their neck, they're loose. They're very loose, which means you have the ability to free yourself. Okay? How can you free yourself from past habits and patterns? Meditating on this card can help you. What are you afraid of? Where are you feeling unworthy? Okay, so that is why I love the tarot cards, because they are little pieces of imagery, metaphor, symbolism that can help us understand our psyche better, help us to heal. Tarot for healing is very, very powerful stuff. So I wish you all much love and happiness, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.